Building your first home should be exciting. It should feel like freedom, but for a lot of first-time builders, it turns into frustration or worse, failure. I've seen people lose tens of thousands of dollars, get stuck halfway through a project, or spend months spinning their wheels on things that could have been avoided with the right plan. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 3 biggest mistakes I see first-time builders make and how you can avoid them. If you're serious about building your own home, this will save you time, money, and a whole lot of stress. I'm Ruben. I've built dozens of homes for myself, clients, and students inside of our mentorship program. Along the way, I've seen what works and I've seen what doesn't. Most of the mistakes I'm about to share with you aren't about skill, they're all about process. And once you know how to avoid them, your first build becomes a whole lot more simple. Mistake number 1. Not understanding the permitting process. This one trip up can cost you a lot of time on your first build. Here's why. They find a perfect piece of land, they start designing their dream home, and then they hit a wall with the city office. Guys, permits can take months to get approved if you don't know the right process. Here's a really simple example. I was talking to one of my friends here locally. I get my permits through the city in usually around 60 days. I'm talking to him and he's 11 months into the process and I'm confused. I'm like, what's going on? How in the world is it taking you 11 months? I start asking him questions and I realized it's all about the simple process, the back and forth with the corrections. We call them check sheets. And what it simply looks like is you submit your plans, you get back a list of to-do items to fix, and then you resubmit it back. And the in between of the going back and forth, there was months of time in between. But he didn't know that this was not normal. When I get my check sheet, my items to get fixed on the plans, hey, change this from a 2x4 to a 2x8, put I-joists instead of solid dimensional lumber, you name it, the list goes on. You can make those changes with your architect, structural engineer. For example, I'm talking to my lumber supplier right now and he's like, hey, if you change this CDX to 7/16 OSB lumber, I don't even need to know what that means. Although I do, the point is I then forward that message for my lumber supplier and say, hey, I can save a lot of money if I make this change. Structural engineer, are you okay with it? Structural engineer says, yes, that's totally fine. I'm okay with it. He changes it on the S pages and we submit it back to the city. That number 1 saved me a lot of time. I have a good lumber supplier I now can trust because he's trying to save money for me and he's out for my benefit. And it's really simple. I can push the project along and save money that way. So here's how to avoid delays and not be like my friend that took 11 months to get his permits submitted. Understand your city's requirement before you start designing. Know the zoning, setbacks, and what documents the city needs from you. Typically, you can download a checklist from the city on what exactly needs to be submitted. If you're using an architect who doesn't understand the zoning, who doesn't understand the setbacks, or doesn't know what documents the city needs from you, then what ends up happening is you're just wasting time going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you're not truly submitting a full correct set of plans, and you're just wasting time. But if you look at that zoning check sheet, hey, a house with an ADU, a duplex, or fourplex is allowed here, and you design that plan, you're in the plans and design for $5,000 to $10,000 of this budget. You place the home correctly on your lot, on the site plan with the right setbacks, you're gonna have a lot less check sheet items to fix on your review. So make sure your architect and your engineer are on the same page with the city from day 1. Before submitting, do your due diligence. Mistake number 2, hiring the wrong contractor or trying to do everything yourself. Listen, I get it. When you're an owner builder and you're trying to save money on your project, cutting corners on the people you hire is where a lot of projects go sideways. Here's what ends up happening. For example, most people think, hey, framer is charging me $15,000 to frame up this home. I'll do it myself. That framer would have got it done in 1 week. And if you count the cost of financing for that week of labor that he would do, let's just say your total interest payment is going to be $1,000 for that week. Depending on the type of loan, that might be a hard money loan. You end up taking on the framing yourself. You want to save this $15,000, but it ends up taking you 2 months. So you saved $15,000 in labor, but you paid eight additional $1,000 in interest, and your project is delayed an additional 2 months. Do you see what's happening here? Instead of getting it done in 1 week, you now got it done in 2 months. You also paid the hidden cost of interest that you didn't even realize was coming out of your project. And if you do this enough amount of times throughout your project, your home is going to take you 1 to 2 years to build. Your finance fees are going to be through the roof, and you're going to be dragging out this project that could take you 4 to 6 months to build. Instead, you're 2 years into this project. It's not worth it. Typically, an owner-builder loan, depending on the type of loan product you get, is 12 months to build, and then it converts to a 30-year mortgage. So let's just say you hit the 12 months, your project's not complete. You now have to pay an extension fee. You have to do a loan modification. Not worth it. Guys, hire the right subcontractor, get the job complete, and that way you can save money on interest and time and move into the home so much faster. So, honestly, you don't need to be swinging the hammer yourself, but you do need to hire the right team and know how to hold them accountable. Here's how to avoid these mistakes. Interview multiple subcontractors. Get their schedule, scope, and budget. Compare those 3 items with every single subcontractor you get a bid from that you interview. Number 2, check references. If there are good things being said about this subcontractor, he's completing his jobs on time, under budget, within his scope, you know you found the right subcontractor. And you can compare the references of all the subcontractors that you're interviewing. Ask about their timeline and availability, not just their price. Guys, if someone comes in low on price, that doesn't mean you should hire them. You should validate those 3 important critical pieces: schedule, scope, and budget. Schedule, how fast can they complete it? Because if one subcontractor A is cheaper but takes 3 times the amount of time to complete it, his true cost, including the interest fees, is actually more. Scope, what is he including that the other subcontractor isn't? One subcontractor might be including the nails, for example, in their bid, and that can be $3,000 depending on the size of your home, versus the other one not. And so you have to count that cost and what he's actually including in his price. And then availability. If you have to wait 1 month for the subcontractor to start, that's also a big problem. And then no matter what you agree on, always get everything in writing. That way, if there's ever an issue, you can go back to what's in writing. Guys, being an owner builder doesn't mean you have to do it all alone. It just means that you're the one steering the ship, and that includes hiring the right crew. Mistake number 3, poor budgeting and underestimating the cost. Most people get excited, they price out the lumber, the framing, the big pieces, but they forget the things like site work, utility hookups, permits, and unexpected delays. And the worst part, they don't leave room in the budget for overruns, which almost always happens. Always have a contingency. So how do you avoid it? Build a budget with contingency from the start. Get real bids from contractors, not just ballpark estimates. Get them in writing. 3, make sure your lender understands your full scope of work so that you're not stuck mid-project with no funding. If you have that contingency, if you have that safety net, then you're going to do much better. Imagine you get 3 bids from 3 different subcontractors. You have a well-rounded understanding of what this project's going to cost and take to get completed. Building your own home isn't easy, but it's absolutely possible. This is not some get-rich-quick scheme, but if you do this right, you can build true wealth in the real estate game through new construction, because you're creating forced equity value. It's as if you buy a house, you remodel it, and you're adding on a 4th bedroom. A 3-bedroom house is appraised differently than a 4-bedroom house. But what I love about the new construction game is it's so much more predictable and easier than remodels. You have less unknowns. You open up the walls in a remodel, you have dry rot, you have termites, you have mold issues, whatever those things come up. In new construction, it's brand new from the beginning. You already know how much profit you're going to make on this build even before you break ground, because you underwrote the numbers correctly. When you avoid these 3 major mistakes, you give yourself the best chance at finishing on time, on budget, and with a home that you're proud of. Imagine standing at the job site, the walls are going up. You know that you're in control and that every step is backed by a solid plan. That's what happens when you do it right. This is exactly why we built the 7-Figure Builder Mentorship. We walk people through every stage of the build, from picking the right piece of land to designing with the city's requirements in mind, to hiring the right contractors, managing the process, and staying on budget. We even put together a free PDF that breaks down these key steps so that you can avoid these mistakes and move forward with confidence. If you're ready to take action on your first build, or if you want to make sure you're doing it right, that's YouTube 360-216-0304, and we'll help you out there. Don't let these mistakes cost you time and money. Get the right plan, get the right support, and make your first new construction build success. With that, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.